Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have potentially my most anticipated release from Creature Preacher ever. We've got ourselves The Last Dinosaur, and man, I am so hyped for this one because I'm a gigantic fan of The Last Dinosaur. Not everybody probably is, but if you grew up in my time period watching all those old cheesy dinosaur movies, this one was one that probably sticks in your memory and one that you probably have fond memories of, just like I do, because it's again one of the goofiest dinosaur movies you'll ever see. But I was such a massive fan of it growing up, being a child, just so amazed and glued to the screen by what I was seeing when it comes to this dinosaur. Again, when you get a little bit older, you realize how goofy looking the T-Rex really is in those films, but when I was younger, I was absolutely obsessed with this movie, so having an actual model of The Last Dinosaur here in my collection is pretty much a dream come true for me, and I think that Creature Preacher honestly perfectly created the Last Dinosaur here. Like, the sculpt is honestly fantastic on this, and one thing that, in my opinion, is very important to capture when creating a model of The Last Dinosaur is, of course, the fact that this is a man-in-a-suit type dinosaur movie, and the man in the suit is really obvious in the movie. You can just see that it's basically a guy in the suit by the way that the suit itself kind of moves around and contorts and stuff in the film. And I feel like he has captured that look as well, again, perfectly on this. Like, it legitimately looks to me like I'm looking at the Last Dinosaur costume here, the suit, and there looks like there could potentially be a guy inside of it, because there's like, just like the saggy kind of look and everything right here. Like, it looks so perfect for what the Last Dinosaur looks like in the film. So I am beyond excited about having this here. And he's also included some extras. So first of all, you can see we've got two different sizes for the Last Dinosaur. We've got a smaller size and a larger size, both of which are sizes that he has been selling and will probably be continuing to sell into the future. So it's up to you which size you get. I got a painted version as well as an unpainted version here. And we also have these that he included. So we've got some really cool Last Dinosaur artwork that he has included for us here. As you can see, two different sizes as well for this. You've got the one for this one and one for that one, basically. But the artwork that he produces is amazing. You can see these both look really, really cool, kind of like a stylized sort of animated style of The Last Dinosaur. Really awesome extras to include with our models, but I am beyond excited to get a closer look at these, so let's jump straight to that closer look right now. So of course we're going to look at the painted one first. Both are the exact same sculpt, but they are different sizes, so we'll primarily go over the painted version. So you can see, of course, the head sculpt sports some really nice looking detail throughout, and one thing again that you can see just here in the face is, first of all, the general head shape is picture perfect to what the Last Dinosaur looks like, but also you can kind of see like the creasing and everything within the suit, something that again you do see on the dinosaur in the film, which is absolutely awesome to have that included. You can see we've got a really nicely painted eye, and the eye also has a nice gloss coat to it, so you can see it's shining there. I feel like he's hit the nail right on the head as far as the grayish tones for the dinosaur, but he's also added in some other gray tones to it. As you can see, as we move through, you'll see lighter and darker tones of gray throughout pretty much the entire model. And you can actually see that straight away, as you can see lighter tones of gray here in the snout, but as you lead back into the eye area, you can see it darken as well, and it darkens really smoothly, really naturally. The Last Dinosaur that we have here does have its mouth in an open position, and you can see all of the teeth are sculpted out very nicely. Almost has like a slight snarl to him right there as far as the way the mouth is positioned. You can also see that the tongue is sculpted out there on the inside of the mouth. We have a really nice kind of like a dark reddish tone, or like a maroonish tone on the inside of the mouth, and he's kind of given it that sort of metallic paint, something he's done in the past quite a few times to help add some nice color variation to it, also to give it a really cool flashy look where it stands out very nicely. And you can see the detail throughout the entire inside of the mouth looks great, and of course that as well has a very nice gloss coat. And then looking at the teeth, you can see each and every tooth is sculpted individually, each and every tooth is painted individually, and you can also see how good the eye paint looks over here on this side as well. Just an absolutely beautiful looking Last Dinosaur head sculpt here. You can see some really nice structure and everything up here to the top of the head of the model. As you start to move down into the neck region, you can again see how saggy it looks, and again, that's exactly as it looks in the film. So he has definitely captured this perfectly. You can see all kinds of like wrinkling and creasing, basically what you would see in the suit from the film. And as you move down, you kind of pick up this one area here that runs along the back that almost is like created to sort of look like a ridge line or something like that running down the back of our dinosaur. As you continue to move down, you can see some nice muscle definition here in the arm as well as you lead out to the fingers. The fingers look really, really good. You can see that we have some nicely painted nails as well. And again, that's exactly as the arms look on the T-Rex in the film. If you run down here along the underside as well, you can see that the sculpt and detail also perfectly resembles the Last Dinosaur as far as the way that the stomach region and the detailing contained therein does appear on the film version. You can also see that it is standing very upright because, again, this film was created, I believe, in the 70s. So this is pretty much the positioning that we would have seen any T-Rex at that point in time, with it standing very upright and dragging its tail, super vintage looking. And you can continue as we move down the course of the model, you can continue to see all the kind of creasing and wrinkling and stuff throughout as far as the skin detail, but also the movement within the suit. You can see we have some nice muscle definition moving down the thigh. You've got some osteoderms and stuff here and there as well. You can see the kneecap there and the front of the leg. As you move down, you do have dew claws right there, which are also nicely painted. And we lead down into the foot sculpt of our Rex, kind of like some big, very big scoots running down the toes. And then again, the nails are painted with that whitish tone that we have right there. And then as we lead back out here into the tail, you can continue to see kind of like creasing galore as you move out the length of the tail. And you can also kind of make out the hip bone a little bit, but you can also see more of that kind of like creasing and wrinkling to the suit as you move through the entire model. And one thing that is very, I would almost say, iconic about the Last Dinosaur T-Rex is the fact that the tail is insanely, insanely long and is constantly whipping and curving and everything like this throughout the entire film. It's just happening through the entire movie, and he's captured even that perfectly, as we can see the tail leads out. And it basically looks like someone's standing there right above it, kind of pulling it up to give it that kind of look. And again, exactly as we see in the film. But I really hope as we were moving through this, you can take notice to all the different varying tones of gray, because there are just so many. Even right here, there's almost like a slight bluish gray, and you can see that through the entire model. Like, there are just so many different areas. It's honestly hard to pick up on where they transition and where they change, because it happens so often through the entire model. I'm looking at least, I would say, 3 to 4 potentially different variations of grays that I can see moving through it that just transition back and forth really, really smoothly, very realistically through the entire course of the model. And you can see, of course, what it looks like over here when it comes to the fantastic curvatures of the tail. And then again, the leg sculpt looks pretty much the same over here as it does on the opposing side, because the Rex is kind of just standing here, and that, as well as something the Rex does do quite a bit in the film, just stands there and kind of looks menacing. You can see the dew claw and everything over here yet again as we move up the length of the leg. And you can see as we lead back up, we've got our Rex again with its mouth open, obviously letting out a vocalization, which I can almost hear in my head after seeing the film so many times. We also have the nostrils up here, which is something I think I failed to mention before, but he absolutely took this one and knocked it out of the park. I think this is definitely going to be one of the most cherished models in my collection, but also my favorite Creature Preacher model that he has released yet. Even though he's released some fantastic stuff, like I absolutely love the Crater Lake Monster and the Planet of Dinosaurs T-Rex, but this Last Dinosaur model is something I never thought in a million years I'd have the opportunity to own, but thankfully for us, Creature Preacher is here to deliver. And then again, we have the smaller version, which, like I said, is the exact same sculpt, and you can purchase them this way, where you can purchase it unpainted and paint it up yourself, or you can purchase it fully painted by Creature Preacher, which is the one we were just taking a look at a moment ago. So I'm definitely going to be painting this one up at some point in the near future, and I think now that I have 3 different unpainted models from Creature Preacher of his releases, I don't know if I'm going to make individual repaint videos of them, showing off my paint jobs on the figures, or if I'm just going to take all 3 and then cram them into one video of Creature Preacher repaints. I'm not too sure how I want to go about that, but I think I've sat on them long enough when it comes to, not really having too much time to get them painted up. And I really, really am aching to paint them myself as well. So I can have, again, the Creature Preacher original paint job as well as my own personal touch. But you can see how cool the model looks when it comes to the unpainted version. It really does look even awesome with no paint on it, even if you purchase it just to keep it unpainted. That is, of course, a route you could take, and it still looks incredibly cool, especially if you're a fan of this film. I think you're going to love this model, but definitely going to get this one painted up at some point in the very near future. I am just so over the moon excited about having both of these here, because Creature Preacher really, really nailed this release. As far as a size goes, we'll measure the bigger one first. So for a length on the larger one, you are looking at about 13 inches or 33 centimeters, maybe a little over in length. Of course, that would be a bit longer if the tail were more stretched out, but we have that, again, classic curl and curve in the tail like you see so often in the film. And then for a height, if we actually go behind it, you're looking at about 8 inches or around 20 centimeters as far as the height goes, and that, of course, is the larger version. When it comes to the smaller version, lengthwise, you are looking at about 9¼ inches or around 23½ centimeters. That's a rough measurement. And then height-wise, just shy of 6 inches. So I'd say about 5¾ inches or around the 14½ centimeter area. And I don't believe these are all the size ranges he has, because Creature Preacher is always just kind of giving us all kinds of really neat stuff. If you follow his Instagram account as well as his Etsy shop, he is always throwing up different versions. As sometimes he'll have like miniature versions, and other times he'll have massive, just mountainous sized versions. So you just really need to, again, follow him on Instagram, follow his Etsy shop to know what he's putting up, when he's putting it up, and make sure that you're there first to grab it when he does. But as far as a size comparison goes, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Last Dinosaurs from Creature Preacher, and you can definitely see that they do sport a very good size. The smaller one, even being the smaller, still has a pretty good size to it. He's rivaling Mr. Papo Rex as far as a height goes. He's really not too far off, but of course the larger one quite towers over Mr. Papo Rex, which is absolutely awesome to see such a beautiful and sizable version of this dinosaur. But for another comparison, we've got a few randoms here with a Mattel Velociraptor as well as the Safari LTDU Tyrannus and the Collecte Dimetrodon here stepping in just to give us an idea of a size, because there aren't too many other figures that are like this, and in fact, as far as I know, there are no other Last Dinosaur figures, or at least no Last Dinosaur figures in my collection anyway, outside of the Creature Preacher version. So to give you an idea of the size, I felt like I'd just bring a few randoms in here to help show you. And here we have the Creature Preacher Planet of Dinosaurs Tyrannosaurus Rex next to the Last Dinosaur Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is actually really, really neat to see the Planet of Dinosaurs T-Rex next to this T-Rex from the Last Dinosaur, because that's like a crossover that would have been pretty neat to see if you're a fan of vintage, old school dino films like me. But you can see that the two smaller ones would be, of course, the Planet of Dinosaurs Rex and that one. They're kind of similar in size, not too far off. And of course, there is a larger version of the Planet of Dinosaurs T-Rex, which I also have here to paint up at some point soon. But again, that's another instance of Creature Preacher always giving us varying sizes of his incredible models. But for another comparison, here we have the Crater Lake Monster from Creature Preacher next to his Last Dinosaur figure, again, to help give you an idea of the size. If you happen to own the Crater Lake Monster from Creature Preacher, then this is definitely one that should help to give you an idea as far as the size of his most recent release here with the Last Dinosaur T-Rex. So as I said earlier, this model is just an absolute dream come true for me, because as I said earlier, I am an absolutely massive nerd when it comes to this film, and pretty much honestly everything that Creature Preacher is making when it comes to his dinosaurs. And now he's actually working on kaiju figures as well, which he has kind of done in the past, because we have reviewed a member of the Godzilla animated series not long ago. But this model is just seriously incredibly cool, because he has, again, perfectly matched the sculpt and the appearance of the T-Rex from the film, and again, giving it that picture-perfect appearance as far as like a man-in-the-suit type of a dinosaur, because that is exactly what the Last Dinosaur is. It is the basically definition of a man in a suit Tyrannosaurus type movie, or man in a suit dinosaur type movie. Like, that is it. And he perfectly created the appearance to that here with his model. And on top of that, again, he's given it a lot of really nice, very fine details, so many creases and everything throughout, giving it that, again, man in a suit type look with the creasing in the suit. And of course, even some really cool fine detail, like he has like osteoderms and stuff here and there to help add a little bit of realism to it, on top of giving it that suit-like appearance. And he's applied some beautiful paintwork to this, again, with so many different varying grays. Like, he does such a great job on his paint jobs and adds so much color variation to the models to help them just look as realistic and lifelike as he possibly can. And of course, adding things into it like gloss coats on the mouth and gloss coats in the eyes, and again, the varying tones of color. It all really helps to bring the model to life in an absolutely beautiful way. And of course, like we saw throughout the review, we have the painted and unpainted versions, so you really do have quite a bit to choose from if you're going to grab one of these, but it's really up to you if you want it already painted. I highly recommend the painted version because it is, again, as beautiful as it gets, or the unpainted version because that as well is absolutely awesome. And some people like myself really do enjoy painting dinosaur models, so you can go that route, or you can go the route like I have here and have both, because then you get the Creature Preacher original paint job, which is great, and then you can choose to paint your own, which is also a lot of fun. But one way or another, and one thing is for sure, this is a tremendous release from Creature Preacher yet again, and definitely a huge recommendation from me if you are a fan of vintage dinosaurs or The Last Dinosaur specifically. So if you are interested in this, I will include links in the description to both the Instagram account of Creature Preacher, where you can follow him, follow along, and you'll get, again, first dibs on whatever he's going to be listing, because he always lets you know there. And then, of course, the Etsy shop of Creature Preacher, where you can follow there and make sure that you're, again, first in line to grab his models when they do go up for sale. Again, make sure you check those accounts, follow Creature Preacher, grab yourself this Last Dinosaur, and like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.